Today on the channel, I'm reviewing the Phantom number 10 by Regal Comics, by Regal Publishers. And the stories that involve in this book are the Ghost story and the Iceman. Two epic stories. This book was originally published in India. It is published by Regal Publishers, and let's have a look. Story number 1, The Ghost Story. The story is done by Tony DePaul, the art is provided by Terry Bailey, and the cover art is provided by Vincent Moses Graja. This story, The Ghost Story, starts off with some jungle scouts hearing of this particular phantom, this particular ghost story at nightfall. If I were to tell you boys of the ghost who walks, who would be afraid? Me, I would. Then I mustn't tell his story, for this is one ghost you must never fear. They say he was never a mortal man, or if he was, we don't know when he lived or where. But he appears as a man today, like us, flesh and blood. All we know is the ghost who walks came to Bengala almost 500 years ago. Ever since then, he's fought evil wherever it may be. Go see who they are. The ghost is known by many names. Some call him the Phantom. Some call him the man who cannot die, and some call him the guardian of the Eastern Dark. They say he has 1,000 eyes and 1,000 ears, and that's how he knows when evil lurks amongst the jungle. Mr. Bailawa, how will we know if we see the ghost? If you see him, why, you've already seen him. You just didn't know it was him. It is said there are many times when the phantom leaves the jungle and walks the streets of the town like an ordinary man. Old jungle saying. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If you ever see a man with a skull mark right here, it was the Phantom who gave him that skull mark, to forever mark him as a man of evil. I was a jungle scout myself once, good with maps, living off them land, trained in marksmanship, perfect. End of a good ghost story. Good night, boys. Lights out in 10 minutes, and the beginning of terror. So, there we have it. A beginning of a ending and a beginning of a ghost story. Where will this story take us? Is it going to be involving terror? Is it going to be involving this guy? And we find out in the next couple of pages that this night camp has been taken. And there's evil people wanting to do bad things in this camp. They're wanting to make these children their soldiers. They're wanting to make these children into child soldiers and to do their bidding. But the leader, the brave, very, very brave leader, doesn't want that for the scouts, doesn't want that for the jungle scouts. So, because he doesn't want that, and because he hasn't, let the others win, he got shot for his actions. And the person who shot him was very much a brutal coward. And he then gets taken, a hunter hears that shot and takes this wounded man to the nearby Dr. Axel's jungle hospital. And so then the Phantom hears that there's these children and they have been taken hostages and are now being trained as child soldiers. And the Phantom does not want any of that. He wants to stop this at all costs because there is a nature that children do not need to be soldiers. They do not need to be witnessing all the stuff that comes with being a soldier. And they're being taught very, very harsh language. They're being very, very taught very, very harsh lessons at a very, very young age. And the man that gets shot wants to make sure that the people who kidnapped the Jungle Scouts get taken care of. And then this guy that saved him says, and Dr. Axel says, I've seen some very strange things attributed to him. Put me down as no opinion. And the hunter then says, I met him once long ago. Excuse me? Dr. Axel says. And then the hunter says, when I was a different sort of man. This gunman, the Phantom says, this gunman is young, perhaps also abducted into a service as a child. The scouts and I would be a slow-moving target on the trail back to Bengala. Gunmen would easily catch up to us in the morning. I'll encourage a spike in desertion rate. So then he takes out a couple of people, takes out a couple of very, very evil types of people, and then there's people, the cowardly leader thinks that, oh, you've been taking a sleep on the job. You're not going to be very, very great when I see you. And he says to the child, what about you? You were on watch. What did you see? I saw nothing on watch, but felt like I was being watched. Jungle Scouts, fall in. So the Jungle Scouts fall in, and in the next 10 pages, the bad, evil guys get surrounded by the Phantom. The Phantom takes care of business, and wouldn't you know, there's whacking, there's skull marks being thrown all over the place, and the Jungle Scouts are then believed to take all of these prisoners, all the people that have been doing very, very bad things to them, and are now being served justice, hot plate of justice. The end. And as we would say, the hunter says, ha, Skullmark, get your hands off me, I know it. Dad, you won't believe it. We have a ghost story to tell you. Don't we have a ghost story to tell you? The end. And those prisoners are held to account and are served a hot plate full of justice. Now we have the second story in this book. It's called The Iceman. It is done by Tony DuPaul and the art is provided by Tara Bedley. The beginning of The Iceman. This Iceman story features the current Phantom, it features the 14th Phantom, it features the 15th Phantom, and not only does it feature another Phantom called the 16th Phantom. So the current Phantom, he's telling Kit and Hollis, and he's also on an adventure to Iceland, where this story really, really heats up. It really, really heats up. It's not like it's gonna heat Iceland, but we're gonna get to it. Okay, so the 21st Phantom tells the story to Kit and Hollis, and it's about the Chronicles. It's about the 14th Phantom getting told that there's these Vikings and they've gone on to Bengala, natives from Bengala have found artifacts, silver artifacts, and the people and the Iceman has stolen it, and in amongst stealing those artifacts away from the people that really should be holding on to it, the people that really should be the owners of it aren't, because the Iceman has shot one of the natives, and that's how the Phantom gets brought into this story. The Phantom then tracks him. He tracks him all over and then goes to Iceland, where a fateful exchange would happen. The Iceman would then shoot the 14th Phantom, and he would then go back to Bengala, and a year later he would pass away from being a very brave person, and he'd be shot. He would pass away from the actions that led to him being shot. So then the 15th Phantom didn't really get much done, because the map that the 14th Phantom had wrote for him didn't really lead to many answers. So then the 16th Phantom comes along, doesn't really do much, thinks that he's doing something, and he did do a lot, but then the 21st Phantom comes along, and Kit and Elise are with him, and this is where the 14th Phantom gets shot. He still kills the Iceman he still kills the Iceman, and the 21st Phantom comes back to finish it all off. 14th Phantom goes back to where he came from, and then within the year, the 14th Phantom lost his life in action in Bengala, and the 15th Phantom came along and wanted to do something about it. Dad, it's hopeless. 3 Phantoms couldn't do what we've come here to do, or but none of them had Devil in the trail of the stolen silver. So Devil then finds the Iceman, who was wanting to protect his treasure. He's out my treasure, my precious treasure. And Devil sees him, and he's all rag and bones. So then they find the silver that there have been 3 Phantoms before the 21st Phantom haven't been able to find, and the Phantom goes back to Bengala with the treasure, obviously, and talks to a relative who knew the person, who was a great ancestor to the person who got shot. And the Phantom says, "Mother of this family, do you know me?" It all starts with Bengala, the farm where the Iceman murdered for Viking silver in 1830. "Mother, awake. I've come to speak with you." Gasp. "I wasn't dreaming. I did hear a voice. Mother of this family, do you know me?" Phantom: "Your family has farmed this land for 200 years. You know what happened here in those days. My great-great-great-grandfather, he was murdered in our fields. Old people told this story. And of a man who cannot die, a ghost who walks. Now tell her this story. Justice quickly found the man who murdered your ancestor." Phantom: "Found him? Recovering what the killer stole from you, that took a bit longer." Dead of night, a mysterious visitor. In the morning, an urgent calls to the family. Phantom: "Priceless Viking silver? Grandmother's lost touch with reality. She mustn't live here alone anymore, and that's what they think. So we now have to make a decision to make. I'll say we do. Where shall we put her? The ghost counsels us to act wisely, for the treasure has great value to history, but he says it belongs to us to do as we choose." I bet they're saying, I'm sorry, Grandma, I'm sorry, but I don't think we are going to put you anywhere. I bet they're saying that right now. Yeah, I don't know why you'd want to put a family member anywhere when you can love and appreciate them. Okay, we've also, they're previous Phantom comics, so we'll get to those at some point. And that was the review of the Phantom Regal, the Phantom No.10 by Regal Publishers. It was published by Regal Publishers a couple of years ago. And as always, keep PhantomCaving, stay safe, and there will be more reviews coming like this very, very soon.